for 200 plus years, and we get to be alive at a time to see it fall. I believe in the power of one person working as a team with other Christian patriots can have massive impact in reversing this ungodly culture. I believe that we have an omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent God that has put his hand on this moment in time to deny the timeline of the enemy and is about to heal our land. This is Rick, your host, and I believe that God has called me to empower Christian patriots with truth. Join us now for the Blessed to Teach show, and let's see what God is doing today.
Deception floods our airwaves, but Faith and Freedom TV fights back with truth. Our bold content, news, shows, Bible teachings, worship, and films shines with biblical conviction and patriotic courage, free from globalist lies. We empower Christian patriot creators to share faith and liberty. Access thousands of videos on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS. Join the battle at faithandfreedom.tv.
Welcome, it's Rick B2T here. We're about ready to power Christian patriot truth the next hour or so, and we're going to be digging into a bunch of news since we weren't able to hit news last night. Right? But last night we were with Derek Johnson, and that interview went over an hour, so make sure you don't miss that. Just great, insightful. We really got to know some things about Derek, several things he said that he had never told an audience before, so it was quite exciting. Go watch that back from last night. It's happening, though. Bill and Hillary subpoenas, SpyGate and Epstein, Texas redistricting, and really, I believe the whole 2020 election fraud is next and coming right down the pipeline, which is what an exciting time to be alive when you think about everything that's going to be declassed over here in the next probably 6 months. It's going to be epic about what gets actually revealed the next 6 months. All these subpoenas coming out. 2 months of just people. It just kind of corners a lot of people, and as they are about ready to testify, I believe more and more D-class is going to be coming out, and it's going to be really freaking them out. And if even somebody like Obama, who may have immunity, is in a potential trap for perjury, because if he comes in, he can't plead the fifth because he's got immunity, right? So now he's got to either tell the truth or lie. And you know what he's probably going to do. He's going to lie, right? So that's going to be real interesting. So let's dig into some of this stuff. Look at this. Stephen Miller deems Russiagate a coup against Trump, one egregious felony after another. And that's exactly right. That's what we've seen here. And I just love the way he speaks. So I'm going to let him talk, and let's do that.
The Russia collusion hoax against President Trump remains the single greatest hoax and the greatest assault on our democracy in the history of this country. There's no comparison, there's no parallel to anything else. It was a coup, and I'm using that term literally. It was a coup to overthrow a democratically elected government, a coup carried out by the intelligence apparatus of this country, by the deep state, by Hillary Clinton and the Democrat Party. The new information that has been revealed by the Director of National Intelligence and by the FBI eliminates any scintilla of doubt about the intention, the premeditation, the planning and orchestration of this conspiracy. It meets all of the criminal elements of a seditious conspiracy against the United States. It meets the criminal elements of an insurrection. It meets the criminal elements of a conspiracy against the government and the criminal elements of a conspiracy to deprive citizens of
the real insurrection. The false insurrection was the false flag on January 6th. This is the real insurrection that's being unleashed with all this declass. It's a beautiful thing.
Of their civil rights under color of law. One egregious felony after another. And because it is a conspiracy, as demonstrated by the forethought of realizing and documenting that they understood that this was fake from the beginning, meeting the mens rea standard in law. Because of that, because it is a conspiracy, every single individual actor is now part of that conspiracy. So that includes Brennan and Clapper and Comey and Hillary and Schiff and everybody else who knowingly and willfully perpetrated this plot, this coup, this conspiracy, this scheme against President Trump and the government of the United States. And now is the time and the hour and the moment for accountability so that we can reclaim this democracy, Maria.
Yeah, it's reclaiming the republic, actually, right? So that's the only thing that he had changed there. But Steve Miller does a fantastic job talking about this. Now, Clandestine, who's an anon from the days of the Q drops, etc., does some good analysis. He says, even though the Russiagate was one of the most egregious crimes ever committed, it pales in comparison to what they did in 2020. After the Russia hoax failed, they quickly transitioned to COVID. Tulsi already confirmed in May that she was looking into COVID-19 origins. She knows. Once the public have digested Russiagate, have seen that a deep state exists, and have seen that the MSM are corrupt, they will be more willing to believe the disturbing revolutions about COVID. Then once the public are told the truth about the main man-made origins of COVID, why Fauci pardoned begins in 2014 in Ukraine, mail-in ballots in 2020, election fraud, etc., the masses will be demanding justice, not just here in the U.S., but worldwide. We aren't talking just treason and sedition. We are talking international crimes against humanity, which is an entirely different ballgame. It would likely be above the jurisdiction of the DOJ, and there are other countries, militaries, who have been demanding justice for C-19, namely Russia, who directly alleged Obama, Clinton, Biden, and Soros are the main ideologies responsible for the creation of C-19 and the U.S. bioweapon network, the same people who Trump alleged is behind the Russia hoax. Trump and Putin both want to prosecute the same people. If you think Trump and Putin have never talked about this, you are mistaken. As for how it all shakes out, we will have to wait and see. But we will have to cross this bridge eventually. And he puts this graphic up here. It just talks about the U.S. coordination of biological laboratories and research institutes in Ukraine. This is why they fought so hard on the perfect phone call trying to impeach Trump over Ukraine. They didn't want him to even touch Ukraine. Stay away from it, right? And this gets into a lot of detail about how Obama and Biden and Soros and Hillary, the middle here, the ideologies that it was talking about, and all the links into all these organizations and how this all results from a biolab perspective. And this is one you probably have to read and get in it more direct on the show notes, so you can get those easily for free at the blessed2teach.com site. That's blessed with the number 2, teach.com. And right there, you'll be able to sign up on the show notes on the front page. That's also easy links to get to Faith and Freedom TV, easy links to get to the equipping tab, our neighborhood.social. Everything's there at blessed2teach.com, blessed with the number 2, teach.com. Here's Kash Patel puts media on blast, hints at more documents proving them liars. So he's talking about, hey, you called me a liar. I'm just going to release more documents on you to show who the real liars are. This is kind of the downfall of Mockingbird media. It's going to be the beautiful part about this. They give Pulitzer Prizes for fake news that they're reporting on. Pulitzer Prize for Russia, which is all false, is going to be real interesting. So FBI Director Kash Patel announced Saturday that a cache of documents related to the Trump-Russia investigation has been uncovered at FBI headquarters, reigniting scrutiny over the origins of the now discredited narrative that Donald Trump colluded with the Russia in 2016 campaign. Obviously, completely made up lies by Hillary. Here's this actual post from Twitter, or X, right? It says, in 2017-2018, I proved the Steele dossier was fictitious intelligence, weaponized by corrupt FBI officials to deceive a federal judge and unlawfully spy on the president candidate Trump's campaign, all paid for by his opponent. So this is that's why they call it the SpyGate as well, because that's the FISA documents they lied to the judges to be able to spy on Trump, going through Carter Page with the 2-hop rule, covers Trump and everybody. And then he's basically saying, and paid for by Hillary, right? The media called me a liar. Now I'm the FBI director. We just uncovered burn bags rooms filled with hidden Russiagate files, including the Durham Annex, and declassified them. Now, guys, that's the story. That's the optic story. I believe Hughes told us we've had this all for a long time. I believe we've had all this information, and we're just waiting for the declass strategy. So again, like Clandestine was saying, we first have to wake people up on the fact that the media has been lying to them for the last 20 years, right? Especially about Russiagate, right? And open their eyes to that and see how the misinformation was fed to the media. The media just ran with it. They didn't do any journalistic anything. They're not journalists. They're globalist puppets. And so people will start realizing that. And then once you open their eyes to that, then it's going to be much easier when you start talking about COVID-19 and how that was used to steal the 2020 election. This is an exciting time to see all this unfold. And we're going to hear about all these weird places. Oh, we found this here. We found that here. Whoa, underneath this rock, we found that. When we've had it all for the last 15 years since we've planned this out. That's what I believe. Let me know what you think in the comments. It's going to be interesting. I can post those up on here. And I am live in the studio, even though I'm not on backstage today. I just was too late to get my video out, so I decided to come and just do it live. The same media is calling me a liar again. Maybe this FBI will realize more documents. Maybe this FBI will release more docs directly from FBI headquarters so we can see who's lying. Wouldn't want to deprive the fake news of more bogus Pulitzers. Woo! So here we go. Basically threatening who's really lying, and then America, America, America. Right. So he's really. This is the type of. This is what we voted for. This is what we could dreamed of that we could pull together a cabinet. I remember when Mark Taylor, when I was reading his prophetic words way back in 2017, right before Q came along, I was talking about how there was going to be a dream team in the cabinet for Trump. And it wasn't. It was for swamp creatures like Pompeo, right? And just so many different people that were going against him all the time. And when now we see what that was talking about. It was actually talking about 2024, 2025 is when the dream cabinet was going to be pulled together. And it is exciting to see that. Guys, silver's up to 37.79. See if I refresh if that changes at all. Yeah, 37.79. That is, it looks like it's real time right now. Guys, I've been talking to you about silver for this is a 3-year look at it, right? Going from here, a low of, what is it, $17.84, and it's now at 37. But guys, it doesn't matter because this is nothing. We're going to be looking. This is double digits when I believe this is what could happen if the Babylonian system crashes. It's exciting, but this is also a hedge against just a massive inflation. Trump's got to kill the dollar probably to get out of the $1 trillion worth of debt. So hyperinflation could happen, which would be good for our debts. But it's also great for precious metals and solid assets that you have. And this is liquid. Unlike real estate or some of those investments, you can sell it within days. There's no back-end commission for the high growth. This is, I think it's going to blow away the stock market, I believe personally. That's why. But get your advice, a free consultation. Even if you are international, you can have a U.S. bank to hold them in the Texas vault where I have mine. And again, and the method that Kurt Elliott, the reason I always talk about him, because he's a patriot that loves the Lord. And he did something that nobody thought you could do in this industry. He only sells bullion, which means he's not going to sell you these coins that are rare, that people are making 100%, 200% margin on. And he's just selling it for this 8% margin, the most silver you get for the least storage cost. And then when everything goes up and you sell it with zero commission. You don't find that in a lot of these guys. So they're going to try to sell you rare coins all the time because they make more money on that. Kirk proved he could win by doing what's right for people, where you're not going to have coins that you can't sell for nearly what you bought them for, and you got to melt them down and do it at spot. I'm really excited about what Kirk's doing for people, guys. And so if you haven't made that call yet, just tell them that Rick B2T sent you, and they'll prioritize your call and give you a free consultation on your specifics, right? 720-605-3900. Even if you just have cash in the bank you have choices. You could put it in some 401k and then you're trapped by a governmental institution, or you could just, and you can still do that with Kirk and keep it in an IRA, or you can have it free and clear and stored. There's all kinds of things you can do with this, and strategically figuring out how to maximize and save your trusted assets. So call Kirk at 720-605-3900. Trump Democrats are self-destructing with low IQ people like Jasmine Crockett. This is CNBC, who does not like Trump, trying to trap Trump, saying he's got low popularity with a bunch of fake polls. That's the first thing he tries to go into, and Trump pushes back right away. Let's listen.
They can cite, your haters cite polls that have you down in the 30s, Mr. President. And,
yeah, but they're fake polls, Joe. I had a lot of fake polls. You also have me in the 70s. I have fake polls. Fox gives me terrible polls all the time. You know, they do nothing, but I've never had a good poll with Fox. And then I win an election, and I go through the roof. Because, look, I won every swing state, did I not? I won every swing state. Andrew, I won the popular vote by millions of votes. Even though they tried like hell to cheat, I won by millions of votes. I won the counties, and all of the counties. I won 2,750 to 502. And I won the election in a landslide. And obviously that's only, we're only 6 months in. But my poll numbers are better now, much better than during the election. And now part of that is because the Democrat Party is self-destructing. I mean, when you have low IQ people like Crockett, I wonder if she's in a relationship to the late, great Davy Crockett, who was a great gentleman. I wonder if she's got any relationship to Davy Crockett, the great old Davy Crockett. But you have this woman Crockett. She's a very low IQ person. Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding. The Democrats are lost. They have Trump derangement syndrome so bad that they can't walk. They can't talk. I mean. They don't know where they're going. Schumer is finished. Schumer, look, I watched him the other day. He's lost all of his confidence.
40% of the country has. So you're never going to get above 60 in any poll, and it's because 40% have TDS, and we know that. Mr. President, we used to do this.
That was guy. He's basically saying that 40% have TDS, right? I'm not sure if that's the case, right? I believe that we have hope when we start waking people up, and guys, that's my encouragement to you, is that if you just keep on being a digital soldier, thumbs this up, share this other broadcast, be a digital soldier, and also use your authority in Christ to pray. We are going to see this become more like the 6% that are never going to change, right? The useful idiots that will never change, but versus the 40% with TDS. I really believe as people see the corruption of the media and realize about Mockingbird Media, that's the main reason we have the Impactor for Truth course on the equipping tab of blessedteach.com, because it teaches you how to red pill people. And what is the beautiful part, the very most important module, I believe by far, is in the second module on it's on Mockingbird Media. It trains you how to tell people about Mockingbird Media, because Mockingbird Media is not you're not talking about Trump, you're not talking about those type of things. You're talking about specific ways to wake people up on the media lying to them in a coordinated fashion with 4 a.m. talking points, right? Jim Morrison saying, he who controls the media controls the mind. These are important things that we can prove and really wake people up. And this is the time to do it, because this is the time to put the accelerator as a D class is happening. Get the memes going, as people would say. Be a digital soldier. We're going to win this battle, and it's going to be fun doing so. It's going to be great to see. All right, let's continue digging into some more of this breaking news here. It's what a great time to be able to do this show where I can talk about all this D-class. Here's the ex-Obama officials faced federal grand jury probe into whether they promoted false Trump-Russia ties. This is huge. This is a people can be all pessimistic, nothing's happening. Oh, and then be pessimistic about this, but we haven't had this type of thing yet, because there's the D class is giving the public enough information to override the lies of the media. That's the beautiful thing. So anybody that's doing any thinking for themselves, an investigation outside, they're just not sitting there watching Rachel Maddow or Anderson Cooper every night. The people outside that bubble, which is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, are starting to look at facts, and it's amazing. I really believe this is going to change hearts and minds, and that's exactly what we need. The Justice Department is opening up a federal grand jury investigation. Now, we already heard from 107, 3 weeks ago? This is why you go on this show, you're going to get things, news before the news, right? Why? Because he said that the grand jury had already been summoned, right? Had already been put together for this. Who allegedly conspired to whip up a scandal about President Trump's purported links to Russia during the 2016 campaign. The Post has learned the major legal development opens the door to criminal charges against prominent members who served under President Barack Obama, including former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper and former Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey. It was not immediately clear whether the grand jury would be based heavily Democratic Washington, D.C. or elsewhere. We've kind of known now it's going to be in Florida. It looks like that's where all this is going to be happening. There's a picture of Comey and Brennan and Clapper, and it's going to be really interesting to see how all that happens there. And the trio could be subjects of a DOJ probe, right? So those three right there, I don't know why they got that poor gentleman right there. I'm not sure who that is, but it's going to be a quite amazing. All about the crossfire hurricane. This is the whole SpyGate, FISA-gate, Russia-gate, right? I prefer FISA-gate because that's really they were spying on Trump and had literally spies there. They call them confidential informants, right? Confidential human informants. Well, they're spies. They're spies, and they spied on Trump completely, just like he said. They all call him a liar, and sure enough, you're seeing now the grand jury, just like John 107 told us. Some people say Juan talks about everything and nothing comes true. No, that's not right. If it's just the timing might be not what he thought when we originally God decided to put us through a 4-year. I'm going to show you. Sometimes you can't tell people. You have to show them. That's right. So here's James Comer basically saying, breaking the House Oversight Committee is compelling the following people to appear for depositions through issued subpoenas. So, woo! This is like former Secretary Hillary Clinton coming on October 9th. Guys, we have a date. Nobody ever thought she'd go back into this area. Now, is Hillary alive? Is it a clone? Is it look alike? What matters is that we are waking up the public to the corruptness of Hillary Clinton. That's what's going to happen here. And there's going to be a lot between now and October 9th that comes out that puts her in even more of a pickle, right? We have former President Bill Clinton, October 14th, a few days later. You got former U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, total criminal, October 2nd. So they're bringing him in earlier to really figure out what's going on before they have them, right? October 7th, James Comey. That's a famous date right there, right? We got William Barr coming in August 18th. Look at even earlier. So this is coming right around the corner. Right? They have the Bill Barr coming in. Attorney General Alberto Gonzalez, August 26th. Attorney U.S. General Jeff Sessions. That's really interesting. Jeff Sessions, I mean, he was all over the Q drops because he was the Attorney General for Trump early on before Trump fired him. Former FBI Director Robert Mueller, who did the whole Mueller investigation of Russia. And then even Loretta Lynch, snitch herself, September 9th. And former U.S. Attorney Eric Holder, September 30th. So you can see all these people are coming before the Clintons. So they're going to get all kinds of people potentially caving, potentially doing deals, potentially all kinds of more D-class coming out. And by the time they come in, it'll be really interesting. And I'm hoping that this accelerates into military tribunals and that some of these don't even really matter. But the fact that there's subpoenas out is just great information. This is an article that Red State put about it. It says, Bill and Hillary Clinton just got slapped with subpoenas for testimony regarding Jeffrey Epstein. So it's kind of both of these things. It's the Russia thing and the Epstein thing coming together because they really are related. All these people that controlled the Russia hoax did it because they were in position, because they were bribed or bribing or doing horrible things, and part of the globalist child molesting, what do I call them? The globalists that actually do that, right? I hate to use. I'm actually going live here on Facebook and YouTube just to put something out there to see what gets banned. So I'm staying away from a couple of words. Trump says GOP entitled to 5 more House seats in Texas, and this is the huge redistricting battle. This is where it's going to be a fight. And what's happened is the Democrats have always done salamandering, and so as the Republicans, when they get in power, it's called salamandering, right? Where you basically are redistricting, and you do it in a way that it looks really wild on the map, because you're trying to hit an objective versus trying to do what makes sense, right? And so that word comes from gerrymandering, comes from it looks like a salamander, right, on the map. Instead of saying, hey, these block of people will vote and these block of people will vote. And if you look at the map that they're proposing, there's not a lot of weird salamandering, gerrymandering type stuff. But you do see that in other places, that, or even in the current maps. It's an improvement over the current maps as far as the way the maps look. So maybe I'll take you through that tomorrow. It's kind of interesting to see that. But is that going to close for me? There you go. So Trump comments come as Texas Governor Greg Abbott, following a push from the president and state Republicans, are seeking to redraw the state congressional map midway through the decade. If passed, it could eliminate 5 current Democratic-held seats and allow the GOP to pick them up next year. And if you see the amount, and I'm going to go to a drop that analyzes what the Democrats have done in some of their states. So they can't gerrymander much more, because they've already done it in the states they control. They've already done it in California. They've already done it in Illinois, and so they're threatening. No, we're going to do it. We're going to do this to try to. They would have to really gerrymander to craziness, and they'll probably wouldn't pass legal scrutiny. So this whole thing is gotten really hot. Here's Greg Abbott talking about it.
You said in your statement that you put out today to all of them, in a letter to them, you said, in addition to abandoning their offices, these legislators may also have committed felonies. What is the felony? What are the penalties for this?
So very simply, it would be bribery if any lawmaker took money to perform or to refuse to perform an act in the legislature. And the reports are these legislators have been both. They sought money and they offered money to skip the vote, to leave the legislature, to take a legislative act. That would be bribery. And so the facts will have to come out. But I think based upon comments made by legislators themselves, they face a possibility of facing bribery charges, which is a second-degree felony in the state of Texas. There's one way to cure that, and that is if they get back to the state of Texas and make quorum today at a hearing that we have at 3 o'clock, they can cure themselves of any quid pro quo that would subject them to potential bribery charges.
And that did not happen. They all left, and so we have a huge battle, this whole redistricting. And I like this guy's take on it. He did a good job, Rod Martin. The Dems are panicking. Why? Because Texas just nuked their radically gerrymandering districts, and Democrats have nowhere left to gerrymander. They already rigged the maps years ago. Now the GOP is fighting back. Let's talk about the states they want to ignore. You see that currently right now. That's gerrymandering. You see this district of this orange thing where it's almost like a leg right here, and there's a leg right here, and this literally looks like a creature running. This little green one right here, right? Look at this gray one going all around here, but stopping here, and so that's gerrymandering, where you create a bunch of salamanders all over the place to try to get to your seats. And if you look at compared to the liberal states, a lot of the red states have not done this nearly as well as the Democrats in getting them more seats. Because they control everything in some of those liberal states, right? And so they can get away with it. Blue states with 0 Republican House seats. We're talking about zero Republicans. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, Hawaii, New Mexico, Connecticut, Delaware. And there's 3 states that we only have 1 GOP seat. That would be Maryland, Oregon, and Maine. That is what our democracy looks like to them. 119, even though it's primarily a ton of red here, they come close to the majority because of how much they've gerrymandered around California and Illinois and others. And so what you see here, now look at these moderate blue states: Colorado, Minnesota, Illinois, Virginia, New Jersey. Each has just 2 to 5 GOP House members, even when Republicans win 40 to 45% of the vote. How gerrymandering, the kind of NVIDIA doesn't exist because it helps Democrats. Illinois' new map got an F grade from Princeton Gerrymandering Project for giving Democrats a significant advantage. Campaign Legal Center estimates this map is more skewed than 81% of past maps. The number of House seats considered competitive dropped by 50%. So basically, they just created it to where there's no competition. They knew they'd win if they created in Illinois these gerrymandering maps. That leaves only California and New York, but they're already terrible. California, GOP won 40% of the votes. They only got 17% of the House seats in California. New York, Trump got 45%, GOP confined to just a few districts. Now Dems are threatening to even more to punish Texas. But how? They've already done their gerrymandering, guys. That's the point. Take another look at Illinois. Illinois Democrats drew a district from East St. Louis up to Springfield, then east to Decatur, then a sharp turn to grab Champaign. 90 miles of squiggly nonsense just to rig 1 seat. This is what the Democrats call defending our democracy. Do you see this here? It comes all the way around here, comes all the way around, comes here. Look at that. That is crazy. And then even this one here, look at this yellow one that comes here in St. Louis and comes up here, comes all the way around here. And so this is gerrymandering, right? And if you look at the House, what Texas has done, there's hardly any of this crap. And so I don't know why people aren't doing more analysis like what this guy's pulling together to show what real gerrymandering is versus what the Texas map shows. And he who's leading the charade, Mark Elias, the Democrats' top election lawyer and key Russiagate conspirator. He's outraged by Texas, but his own maps have even thrown out by courts for extreme gerrymandering. Again, this gerrymandering is like salamander. It looks like a salamander on a map because it goes all over the place, right? And it's only done for political purposes. It's the Claude Rains I'm shocked award in real life, right? And you see here, number 7. Let's be clear. The Texas maps being changed, they were gerrymandered for Democrats, unconstitutionally on the basis of race. So when Texas Republicans corrected them, Democrats cry foul, not because it's unfair, but because they're losing. And so here's this guy that tries to call for impeachment of Trump all the time, and so his house seat might be competitive now. He can't have that. He's not going to like that. Texas Democrats are literally fled to Illinois, the most gerrymandering state in America, to protest unfair redistricting. You can't make this up. They don't care about voters. They care about control. And for the first time in years, they're losing a bit of it. Illinois Governor J.B. Pilcher meets Texas Democrats. The redistricting war has only one rule. Democrats can gerrymander forever. Republicans must never fight back. Because then they just use their media puppets and cry racism, no matter what. And see, what the problem in Texas is that the Hispanics have moved to being the majority voting for Trump. And so to redistrict this to where it's more fair to the Hispanics, is something that this does without major gerrymandering at all. Democrats are screaming because they literally have nothing left to rig. Just wait till the illegal aliens are gone, and then they're not going to have so many people to do that either. So that's Rob Martin. You can follow him on Twitter. Great little threads they call him that he does. Here's Landon Hill saying, look at what the Democrats did with redistricting Illinois in the 80s. We don't have an effective Republican Party since the lines are drawn to ensure one-party rule. That's what they've done in Illinois for sure, right? That's why it's gone downhill so much. Here's Trump DOJ considering release of Ghislaine Maxwell's interview. So obviously there's all kinds of attacks on this, but it's interesting. CNN's going to be obviously attacking Trump all the time on this, but the Trump administration is considering releasing the transcripts of audio of the Department of Justice interview with Ghislaine Maxwell, the girlfriend of disgraced late financier Jeffrey Epstein. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who Trump trusts, he's talked about this publicly multiple times, interviewed Maxwell in July, and the DOJ is weighing the release of the interview. According to 3 senior officials who spoke with the outlet, pressure is building on the administration to be more transparent about the investigation into the Epstein case, yet a final decision has not been made on, one of the officials said. Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year sentence, having been found guilty of conspiracy to entice minors to travel to engage in illegal sex acts, conspiracy to transport minors to participate in illegal sex acts, transporting a minor to participate in illegal sex acts, and sex trafficking conspiracy, all those. The DOJ and the FBI announced last month there was never any client list of Epstein and confirmed he did die by suicide. Now, obviously, that's really frustrating a lot of people in this in our movement. But again, this is optics, guys. This is optics. This is getting to all the Democrats, all those on the left start screaming, release the files. And then when it does, it's going to show that it's almost all people that hate Trump. It's the rhinos and the Democrats that were all part of Epstein Island. That's what's going to show. And Trump was actually helping, providing information against Epstein. India is not only buying massive amounts of Russian oil. This is Trump's Truth. So we're going to go to his Trump's Truth section because he just goes crazy here on informing us, like talk about transparency. They are then, for much of the oil purchase, selling it in the open market for big profits. They don't care how many people in Ukraine are being killed by the Russian war machine. Because of this, I will be substantially raising tariffs paid by India to the U.S. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So this is interesting. He's really gotten irritated by India and has called him out right and left. It's kind of interesting to see that. So I see people chatting on. I'm not getting to the chats. I'll try to do that. Expose him, says Linda. It says pitchers own Hyatt, so they are corrupt. Yeah, I'm sorry, you're talking about the PRITZKERs. Yeah, they own Hyatt. Yep, there's a lot of corruptness out there, no question about it. Here's Trump administration returns Confederate general statue in D.C. vandalized, toppled during the BLM riot. So now these statues are coming back. Trump wants us to say we're not gonna do this BLM type stuff. We're going to actually, and I would call it the Antifa. It's not just BLM, it's BLM/Antifa. Remember, the founder of BLM is a Marxist. And it's really, really shocking how many people fell for that are even conservatives. Many conservatives and many even conservative businesses fell for that. The 11-foot-tall bronze statue, Confederate, of diplomat and General Albert Pike was the only statue in the nation's capital honoring a Confederate official until rioters knocked it down and then set it on fire in June 2020. So originally authorized by Congress in 1898 and dedicated in 1901, the statue honors Pike's leadership in Freemasonry, including his 32 years as sovereign grand commander of the ancient rite of Scottish Freemasonry. We know that's not good. But it's showing history, right? It's showing history versus trying to take everything out of it. Now, here's Trump put this on his Truth as well, showing monthly government revenue from custom duties and certain excise taxes. So this is the tariffs coming in. This is your external revenue service. This is the path to get rid of the Fed, the path to get rid of the Internal Revenue Service. Well, look at this. This is what we brought in from 21 to 24, less than 10 billion here, and now we're all up in July. It skyrocketed since Trump's been doing this, and it's almost up to $30 billion. 3x, gonna climb much higher here as we go. So this is the success of the External Revenue Service coming to life right before our eyes. It's like, woo, here we go. But T. Mitchell saying, yes, so glad to bring back our history. It's exactly right. That's exactly what we need to be doing, isn't it? This is like Missy saying, "It's a great time to be alive, watching these things take place that the Lord has spoken of." Amen. I love it. I just love it. First on Fox, Republican firebrand Nancy Mace launches bid for South Carolina governor. So this is interesting. It's a crowded Republican gubernatorial. I think Trump's already given his blessing on somebody else. So it'd be interesting to see that now that Nancy Mace is coming over. She's on fire believer, as you know. Here's a little bit of her commercial. Let's watch it.
Is this announcement coming in a couple days? What's your thought?
I will be making a decision in the coming days.
And where are you leaning right now? Is it re-election or is it governor?
We're definitely leaning towards running for statewide office in South Carolina for governor. There are a lot of reasons to do that. We have the highest state income tax in the Southeast, making us not competitive with other neighboring states in a growing, booming economy under Donald Trump, but also law and order. My state has been run over by illegals, and our leaders have turned a blind eye.
Yeah. And then there's a little ad here. This is what I wanted to show you.
A House Republican has drawn the ire of both Democrats and members of her own party.
She has a way of getting under their skin.
Representative Nancy Mace. Firebrand Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace.
She's a fighter. I know about that. She's a fighter.
She learned resilience early on. Mace became the first woman to graduate from South Carolina's famed military college.
You've taken a lot of abuse for standing up for the rights of women.
But what they forget is that, Laura, I'm the first woman to graduate from the Citadel. I will not be bullied into silence.
Nancy Mace scores a huge victory in her fight to keep biological men out of women's bathrooms.
We will be courageous. We will be resilient.
When she sets her sight on something, she's tough.
And we will be prepared to take on the challenges of this historic moment.
A lot of people are excited about that. It's interesting. I just think the good news is, hey guys, we have to win at the local level, as General Flynn's been saying and Clay Clark is getting involved at the local level. You know, whether it's somebody in the House of Representatives going for governor. We're looking. God's going to be promoting His people, right? So I'm not sure about Nancy's beliefs, but be looking for your promotion, looking for your new positions completely. This is exciting that we are going to find what we start taking dominion of some of these mountains of influence that we've been talking about for the last 7 years, right? Here's a Democrats led by crying Chuck Schumer are slow walking my nominees, more than 150 of them. They wanted us to pay originally $2 billion for approvals. The Democrats are crazed lunatics. So I thought about that a little bit late last week, but again, they did take the recess. Now, hopefully, Thune is not going to pull his cabal card and work with Johnson to try to come in every 4 days and to actually stop the recess appointments. Recess appointments just simply says Trump can put all 150 of these people in, or whoever's chosen, and until they confirm them later, right? This has put the Senate way back on their calendar because the Democrats, for the first time in history, of Republican or Democrats, have not given him one of the quick votes that usually have happened. They're making the maximum amount for every single candidate. So to get through 150 of them, they would never get to the legislation they have to get to. So this is a purposeful, Chuck Schumer strategy to slow walk these through and punish Trump. That's what they're trying to do here. When the president signed his big, beautiful bill, suddenly ICE had $75 billion in funding. Now ICE is rapidly trying to hire 10,000 more agents. So he's got a link there to join ICE, join.ice.gov, join.ice.gov. A lot of people looking for new careers. Hey, this may be the thing for them. In just 6 months, I cut costs, especially energy and taxes, tremendously. Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren on CNBC said costs have gone up. She is just angry that I blew up her terrible presidential campaign. Call her out. So she's just the Pocahontas lying again on CNBC. No, they're experts at taking little tiny pieces of of data. And so here's like Trump during the interview. Ask Pocahontas the real question, CNBC. Now, this is interesting, this whole Sydney Sweeney having a commercial. And so Trump addresses it where they just freaked out because it's a white, beautiful girl that happens to be a Republican selling jeans, right? And so they say, it's Nazi stuff. It's like, what? Okay, Sydney Sweeney, a registered Republican, has the hottest ad out there. It's for American Eagle, and the jeans are flying off the shelf. Go get him, Sydney. On the other side of the ledger, Jaguar did a stupid and seriously woke advertisement. That is a total disaster. The CEO just resigned in disgrace, and the company is in absolute turmoil. Who wants to buy a Jaguar after looking at the disgraceful ad? Shouldn't they have learned a lesson from Bud Light, which went woke and essentially destroyed in a short campaign the company? The market cap destruction has been unprecedented, with billions of dollars so foolishly lost. Or just look at what woke singer Taylor Swift. Ever since I alerted the world as to what she was by saying the truth, that I can't stand her, hate, she was booed out of the Super Bowl and became no longer hot. The tide has seriously turned. Being woke is for losers. Being Republican is what you want to be. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He's talking about almost everything, right? Crime in Washington, D.C. is totally out of control. Local youth and gang members, some only 14, 15, and 16 years old, are randomly attacking, mugging, maiming, and shooting innocent citizens. Now, anybody that knows any history about Washington, D.C., how it's not even part of the United States, it's a sovereign ground, and the fact that it is the international banking cartel there knows that Washington, D.C. is kind of off limits unless Trump could find a reason why to take it over. And so, in fact, Q Drop 22 talks all about National Guards and when can they be used, when they can't. It says they are not afraid of law enforcement because they know nothing ever happens to them, but it's going to happen now. The law in D.C. must be changed to prosecute these minors as adults and lock them up for a long time, starting at age 14. The most recent victim being beaten mercilessly by local thugs. Washington, D.C. must be safe, clean, and beautiful for all Americans, and importantly, for the world to see. If D.C. doesn't get its act together, and quickly, we will have no choice but to take federal control of the city. Woo! This would be reestablishing D.C. as part of America versus part of the international banking cartel, or basically the whole cabal run just like the Holy City, and also in you got the unholy trinity of England and the Vatican and Washington, D.C., right? And run this city as it should be run, and put criminals on notice that they cannot, that they're not going to get away with it anymore. Perhaps it should have been done a long time ago. Then this incredible young man and so many others would not have had to go through the horrors of violent crime. You can see this kid just getting the crap beat out of him, blood everywhere, all over his pants, etc. Just pretty crazy what's happening in these different cities. He finishes up by saying, if this continues, I'm going to exert my powers. So here's the warning shot. He just has to find a reason and federalize this city. Make America great again. That's gotta scare the bejesuses out of the cabal, and that's not what they're doing. So I guess they're having a hoax funeral today, and Trump posted a funny video where they were acting like Trump was beating him in a arm wrestling contest back many years ago. This is great news. Should be nationwide. President DJT. And so what they're talking about here is the Appeals Court upholds the Texas law requiring ID numbers to cast mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots are just a recipe for the whole selection machines to work and be able to change votes and rig elections. And so actually having mail-in ballots, having ID numbers just makes sense, right? But that is being challenged, obviously, by all those people that say anything they don't like that won't allow them to cheat in elections is racist. It's racist. So it's like with no logic around that at all. And they're the racists, because they're basically saying if you're a person of color, you have a hard time getting a license to be able to show who you are. When you have to use that license to buy cigarettes and alcohol or go to a movie, go fly an airline, but you can't get it to vote. It's the racists are the ones claiming that, obviously. Here's Donald Trump truth again as we go through his truth section. It says, crime in Washington, D.C. is totally out of control. Oh, we reviewed that. So here's Representative Jasmine Crockett. She calls Trump a piece of shit during a liberal rally and urges Democrats to get aggressive and move on tour stop ahead of the 26, and she's basically calling the Supreme Court corrupt. But she's just, it's like, talk about a useful idiot. That is the definition of what you have of, the elites have this rules for radicals, right? And Saul Alinsky has a book that talks about that, rules for radicals, and part of it is having useful idiots that will do what Antifa and Black Lives Matter do for you. Well, she's a prime example, or maybe a puppet of the deep state, maybe paid off, just like you have Al Sharpton paid off, Reggie, all these people paid off to control what people think. Kimberly Sheetal loses her security clearance following Trump's assassination attempt fallout. So she used to be head of the secret security, and now she is Secret Service, and she is no longer there. Now she loses her ability to even have security clearance, which is interesting because not many people really like this other guy too who took over for him. But Trump Secret Service Director Sean Curran, which I think this is the guy that people were hoping it would be Dan Bongino. But I think this has used to be over Trump's area and has taken over that. So I think I misspoke there because I was thinking it was the guy that replaced her. So Sean Kern says, nope, you're not getting it. You're not getting your security clearance. So that we need to do that with a lot more people, obviously. And that's a good point. Hulk couldn't beat President Trump in that match. He could have beat him for sure if it wasn't put on. Netanyahu approves plan for Israel to fully occupy the Gaza Strip. So this is interesting. You know, my point of view on this is that there's way too many people in this truther movement that have fallen down a psyop where everything Israel does is bad. And I'm telling you, Netanyahu is fighting the deep state just like Trump's fighting the deep state here. Yes, Israel has a deep state. Yes, Trump has a deep state. And everything Trump has done has supported Netanyahu. Everything. And they just put a video out that's so gross I don't even want to show it, of one of the hostages that having to dig his own grave, and he's completely looks like the Jews from the Holocaust, bones sticking out and completely being starved, and the terrorist is not starving, looks great because so the terrorists have plenty of food, and they're using that to control the residents of Gaza. So I think this is the only solution. You have to take Hamas out, in my opinion. Breaking, the NRA, GOA, FPC, and other gun rights groups just launched a direct legal attack on the National Firearms Act. Why? Because under Trump big beautiful bill, the NFA is no longer a tax. It's just a federal gun registry, and that's unconstitutional. So this is interesting. This is that other guy that I was telling you about earlier, Rod Martin, does great threads. This is another thread showing what Trump's done here, which could be brilliant. It says the lawsuit filed August 1st targets one of the oldest anti-gun laws in America. It's the 1934 National Firearms Act, a relic of the New Deal that taxed and tracked short-barreled rifles, shotgun suppressors, and more, all the way back in 1934. It is the backbone of the federal gun control regime. But here's the twist. Trump's one big beautiful bill just slashed the NFA's $200 tax on those items to zero. If there's no tax, there's no taxing authority. What's left? A registration scheme with no constitutional basis. Trump knew exactly what he was doing. Dun, dun, dun. I love some of these memes too. Those of you who are not looking at the video. Trump with an old rifle. Doug Hamlin of the NRA put it plainly. The Constitution grants Congress only limited powers, none of which authorize the registration of privately owned firearms. This isn't regulation, it's unconstitutional government surveillance dressed up as a tax law. And you see here, number 5, remember, the only reason the Supreme Court upheld the NFA in 1937 was because it was just a tax. But now, there's no tax left. The NFA is functionally dead, and the ATF is still enforcing it anyway. Time for the courts to step in. Gun control radicals aren't taking this well. Senator Chris Murphy just proposed raising the tax to $4,709. Chris Brown of Brady Unity called Trump's tax cut a gift to mass shooters. These people hate freedom, and they're not even hiding it. Let's be clear, there's no constitutional authority for a national gun registry. The NFA is now untethered from any Texan power. The ATF has no business enforcing registration of untaxed weapons. This lawsuit could finally kill the National Firearms Act, the NFA, which is, again, the backbone of this whole gun control movement. Again, they want to do what they did in Australia, take our guns away, and you have no way to push back on anything. What's more, the 1934 law was enacted by racist Democrats to keep firearms out of the same black people they oppressed legally and terrorized illegally through the Klan. That's how they got gun control. This is 1934, the Ku Klux Klan using their control to try to take guns away from people to protect themselves. And it's why the NRA fought for civil rights. Did you guys know that? The NRA fought for civil rights while the Democratic Ku Klux Klan, yes, almost all Democrats, we're doing the opposite. The NFA is gutted, unconstitutional, obsolete. The tax is gone. The pretext is dead. The segregation is over. And the Constitution never allowed gun registration to begin with. It's time to finish what we started. Strike down the National Firearms Act. Yes, that would be a great step forward to the protection of our Second Amendment. All right, we almost burned through a full hour, but we got some more I want to go over. Here's Sean Foyt saying, if worship and preaching the gospel can hijack a mall in California, it can happen anywhere. This guy's anointed where he goes, guys. There's some Christians attacking him right now. I'm just shocked. I think they must be prideful people that are from or were from Canada, trying to paint him like Hillsong and some of these. This guy has a heart and fought the COVID. He's on our side. So I don't understand why people would be attacking him. They line up and start taking pictures of this while Sean Foyt and the band is down there, and a ton of people are worshiping right in the middle of a mall. So his Let's Worship movement, I think it's huge. He's at the Reawaken tour a lot. He's a true patriot, and he might be getting some awesome donations as God's money flows to his ideas, right? So God's ideas, the money will flow to God's ideas, and just worshiping is an idea that God has. He wants you to do it in the places that are hard to reach, and that's what Sean Foyt does, right? Here's Valerie Ann Smith talking about the toxic vaccine addictive, causing permanent deafness in 57% of those injected. Now, this is interesting. Within 40 hours of being injected, the poison paralyzes and damages the inner ear nerves. So Dr. Artis is talking about this as well. He's got some viral TikTok videos out there. Creating revenue for hearing aids and implants. And it's called this neomycin. It is in 8 others in addition to the flu vaccines. So it's in these. So again, this whole thing that will get this video taken out of YouTube if I don't be careful. It's all about creating revenue for big pharma, and this is what she's talking about is neomycin, the toxic vaccine additive causing permanent deafness in 57% of those injected. So how many people do you know over 60 when the doctor says get your flu shot every single year? And then you go get that, and they put neomycin in you. So what's going to happen to you? Well, 57% of the people are going to end up deaf and needing hearing aids and all that. Why is it included in the vaccine ingredients? Antibiotics such as neomycin and kanamycin are used to stop bacteria from growing and containing and contaminating the vaccine. Vaccines have to use a medium in order to grow the virus for which the vaccine is supposed to prevent. That growth medium, be it in human harvested organs or animal harvested organs, will grow deadly bacteria within the vaccine vial if antibiotics are not added to the vaccine during manufacture. Neomycin has a black box warning. This is the strongest warning of harm that can be added to the drug package insert before it is pulled from the market for being unethical and toxic. Neomycin's warning states, this is the warning on it, systematic absorption of neomycin occurs, resulting in toxic reactions, neurotoxicity, including ototoxicity and nephrotoxicity. Following the use of neomycin have been reported even when used in recommended doses. Profound irreversible deafness, hearing loss, and tinnitus. My wife had tinnitus for a while, and it makes you almost suicidal. It's crazy. Has been reported following neomycin use. Chronic kidney failure and CKD has been reported following neomycin use. But they put it in there, right? So here is, again, these are warnings, documented warnings, YouTube. Documented warnings. Okay, I'm not purporting on anything. Influenza, DTaP vaccine, hepatitis, MMR vaccine, rabies vaccine, smallpox vaccine, chickenpox vaccine, monkeypox vaccine, IPV, inactive polio vaccine. It's on all those. What about topical neomycin used for infections? So anyway, this kind of goes over more details, but with a ton of details. You'll find it in the show notes. And here is the TikTok video. If I played this, I'm sure it's going to get this whole video will get removed. So you'll see that in the show notes where Dr. Artis talks about what the flu vaccine has and why so many people might be going deaf that are eligible getting the flu shot each year. Hey guys, we're live on Faith and Freedom TV. Just type in faith with the N, freedom.tv. So faith and freedom.tv. Boom, you're live. We've got two 24/7 channels with many more coming. A bunch of live events as well, including Mary Crowley's Open the Heavens, Lance Wallnau show, our Word and Worship and Praise and Prayer go live as events on there as well, now that it has to be separated from the channel. And then we have a Faith and Freedom TV podcast, which is the kind of the best of that's a VOD, video on demand, play that at a time. We have the Bible study videos that has tons of those available there. Worship services and music. We have Growing Your Faith on-demand video, equipping courses, faith and TV shows, which would be, this is who's on there. Dr. Sherry Tenpenny's coming on. We just put up her first videos. And you have Take Your Power Back with Kim Yater has just joined, Lance Wallnau, The Racist Chick, so many more, Mary Crowley. I am pain-free with my brother Rob. Guys, this is, I've got six more being onboarded, including musicians. We have Freedom Films, as well as interesting, those of you who like this show, we show just the news, or you want to say just the interviews, or you wanted to hear the teachings and words from the Lord. And then my Alone Time with blog, you can watch on the big screen TV. Remember, all of this is available at, just go to faithandfreedom.tv on your URL on your computer, on your phone or whatever. But there's also apps. The most exciting thing about this is live on Roku right now, live on Fire TV, live on Android TV, Apple TV, Android and iOS. And our whole mission, and this is what's exciting, is amplifying silenced voices, those silenced by elite media. And there's a ton of people out there, and we need your help to find out who should be coming on this. Like, I get all these recommendations, these beautiful people of the Lord that God wants to amplify right now. That's the mission of Faith and Freedom TV. Let's get all this great content together and make it just an unbelievable platform. And all these different places you can watch on your TV, you can watch on your phone, and watch it on a web app. This is called a web app, and it's just beautifully done. Again, this is media freed from deception. And what we're going to be doing at Faith and Freedom TV is amplifying those voices silenced by elite media. And that elite media includes Hollywood, it includes the music moguls, it includes obviously mainstream media and many other, even these big distribution like Daystar and TBN that just silence everybody else except for these big, huge pastor voices. So we have a lot of work to do, and we are on our way, adding every single week new content providers. And we're going to be adding new 7x24 channels. The next one's going to be around health, called Biohackingville TV. Exciting things coming. So make sure you join us at faithandfreedom.tv. A new website's about ready to launch to talk a little bit more about the whole mission. And we're excited about that. You can get involved by just going to faithandfreedom.tv/partner. faithandfreedom.tv/partner. Kind of a prelude to what's going to be talking about on the website. A couple other things. Trump made a series of stunning announcements at the White House press briefing. This is back last week, but it's kind of exciting when you look at what they're talking about. It says that we had these Supreme Court double victory that I reported on, the 6-3 Supreme Court ruling about the nationwide injunctions effectively dead, parental rights restored in schools. But this was just the beginning of what Trump revealed. The immediate policy avalanche. Policies now moving forward without court interference. The birthright citizenship. There's a 30-day countdown of that. The sanctuary city funding cuts. Refugee settlement suspension. Federal transgender surgery funding stopped. Just big victories based on them and forcing these to go through the courts. That is fun, and we're yeah. So I like how Linda's saying no, thank you for the flu shot. Yeah, smart thinking, very, very, very smart thinking. Yeah, and so here's Queenie saying biblically that land belongs to Israel as God gave it to Israel within. He allocated the lands, no question about that. There's a ton of history. In fact, there's just so many things I could bring up about that whole thing. Yeah, and so KZ Rumble's asking a question. Can anyone speak on the Genius Act and stable coins? How this gives government the power to freeze, burn, and seize assets, dollars? Where does it end? It sounds like revelation. Yeah, it's interesting. He's completely done an executive order against centralized digital currency, right? Which is good because central bank digital currency, which is where the cabal wanted to go with this. So now when you have stable coins and the whole thing about moving to asset-backed currency, et cetera, that's where the world's going. I don't think there's anything going to stop that. And that could lead us to revelation years and years from now. But with the good leaders and intent, you're going to be able to also, it's going to capitalize on and take advantage of the vast resources that the United States has and be able to get us out of this debt. And I think the best is yet to come in the short term. But and I was just telling my wife that I'm going to come back to this other screen just to kind of talk a little bit about what KYZ Rumble was just talking about. And if you look at the whole arguments and different views, I think I went over 9 different views of Revelation, right? Which was fun to teach. Because instead of teaching that you need to believe this because this is everybody else is an idiot and you have to believe this way, I showed you why it's biblically based and why people have those 7 major beliefs, and there's a lot of discussion about this. Oh, the 7-year tribulation is not real, and there's arguments about that. The Revelation red pill for the resistant chicks really are strong on one point of view that that's incorrect teaching. Now, but I just want to use some logic with you for a second. If in one of my favorite, I guess most heart-wrenching memory verses that when I first really realized what it said, made me just grieve with God. Right? Is Genesis 6:5 and 6. If you've ever seen Genesis 6:5 and 6 and really understood it, it's like it grieves my heart to even read even to this day. I have my memory verses, and so I go through them about every 4 or 5 days. I get through my 150 memory verses, and so it just hits me every time. And it's basically the Lord saw that the wickedness of man on the earth, and that every intention of the thoughts of their hearts was only evil continually. Whew, these are the days of Noah, right? We're talking about. And the Lord regretted that he had made man on the earth. And it grieved him to his heart. I filled it again. It grieved him to his heart. He was grieved and regretted making man. Why? Because every intention of their thoughts was only evil continually. That's what was going on. Obviously, he found one man and his family in the days of Noah that put him in the ark to save mankind and destroyed everything else. How come that? And so now if you get back to, if you do believe in the 7-day tribulation, which I do, 7-year tribulation, and the rapture, and there's the question of, is the rapture even true? Is it going to happen pre, mid, or post? Here's why I think it's definitely going to be pre or mid, and that we are not going to be going through the majority of that, is because, again, Matthew 24:37 clearly talks about, as were the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. So when the Son of Man comes down on the Mount of Olives, right there, right next to the temple there, the Mount of Olives is right there, right now, splits in two, and 2/3 of the Jews die, and 1/3 of them are saved. All Israel will be saved at that point in time, right? That when that happens, that's the coming of the Son of Man, and that's going to be as were the days of Noah. So I just tell you, you cannot have a bunch of Christians on this earth that are doing what Genesis 6:5 and 6 just said. What's Genesis 6:5 and 6 say? It says clearly that God was grieved because why? We talked about it, because he saw the wickedness of man, and that every intention of the thoughts of their heart were only evil continually. That's not people filled with the Holy Spirit. That is not people that are part of the church, especially the remnant. There's always a remnant, right? So the remnant's not going to be here. That's why I believe that's a ton of evidence that we are going to be raptured before the tribulation period, right? And our job is not to stop what's going to be happening. Our job is to spread the gospel like mad using technology that the beast system is going to use as well. So we need to use AI for the good and try to regulate it and keep it from going there, and all these robots and driving cars and everything. How can we use all that for good, right? We can obviously do everything we can to keep our privacy. But anyway, that's kind of my overall thoughts on some of that. Let me go back to some breaking news here. This is fourth part of this historical scale. Trump on the unprecedented judicial resistance. More nationwide injunctions than the entire 20th century combined. Nearly 700 federal judges could previously block presidential policies. Policies are tied in courts for years. So this is what Trump's talking about. This is great.
And we've been hit with more nationwide injunctions than were issued in the entire 20th century together. Think of it, more than the entire 20th century. Me. I'm grateful to the Supreme Court for stepping in and solving this very, very big and complex problem, and they've made it very simple. And we've been hit with more.
Yeah, I just love how he does this. This is these different people that summarize some of these into threads, they call them, on X. Very well done. The parental rights victory is another big one. Todd Blanche on the second ruling. Parents can opt out of transgender ideology in schools. They restore parental rights to decide children's education, no longer forced exposure to objectionable content. This is beautiful stuff.
If not for the injunctions case, we would be here talking about another great decision that came down today, the trans books case, which restores parents' rights to decide their child's education. Seems like a basic idea, but it took the Supreme Court to set the record straight, and we thank them for that. And now that ruling allows parents to opt out of dangerous trans ideology and make the decisions for their children that they believe is correct. And so we thank the Supreme Court for that. There's been multiple decisions over the past several weeks that just show why this nationwide injunction ban had to happen. For example, what I mean by that is local district court judges issuing decisions that are clearly contrary to law just because they don't like the policy of President Trump. And when it gets to the Supreme Court has to correct it. But that takes time. The Attorney General thanked our lawyers, and I'll do it again. Our lawyers are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to fight these injunctions and to emergency appeals, emergency stays, going back to the district court judge, asking them to change their view. And so their hard work is really paying off. If not...
Yeah, so this is obviously a big battle. The strategic legal approach, how Trump won, challenged injunctions power itself, not the underlying policies, focused on separation of powers, not constitutional merits, avoided fighting birthright citizens directly. And so that allows him to have a lot more power. The terror gang numbers, Pam Bondi's enforcement update, she said there's 27,011 arrests of terrorists and gang members today. TDA, MS-13, the Sinaloa cartels, and HSI investigations are ongoing. Violent crime are a priority. So these are just some of the wins we're getting. And the systematic abuse. Trump described the broken system. If any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagree with the policy, they could, I'm going to let him talk about it. Basically delays it for years.
To dictate the law for the entire nation. In practice, this meant that if any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagreed with the policy of a duly elected president of the United States, he or she could block that policy from going into effect or at least delay it for many years, tie it up in the court system. These judges have attempted to dictate the law for the entire nation. In practice, this meant that if any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagreed with the policy of...
Yeah, I think I played that twice. Sorry about that. The constitutional restoration, Trump's framing, brings back the Constitution, restores separation of powers, opposite of power concentration, stops judicial branch from stealing executive authority. And so obviously we have a different opinion on the other side. They're just trying to say it's a dictatorship, when the globalists are trying to basically destroy America and get to a global dictatorship is what we're stopping right now. The green light forward. Trump explained the urgency. We have to act quickly when it comes to illegal immigration. We have murderers, killers, drug dealers, and the old system would take years to overturn wrong decisions. The American people voted for these policies. Amen. This solves the timing problem we had. Nationwide injunctions used to tie up policies for 2+ years. Presidents only have 4-year terms. By the time appeals were won, it was too late to implement. This ruling removes that delay. Yes, it does. Completely. And that is, again, that's another thread that I just thought was really well done on these different type of subjects. And I'll continue to do more of those as we go forward here, guys. Hey, we have some great guests coming on. I have to go to a funeral on Saturday through Wednesday. So I have great content I'll be providing you guys. I can record from there. But we have Richard Gage, a 9/11 architect. He's on fire right now, coming on Thursday before I leave. And then Cassandra's going to have to move to a different time, unfortunately. Just an awesome woman of God. She was a great journalist as well, doing just some fantastic work right now. We got John Richardson coming on. Has great insight into the RNC. We got all the doctors coming back on. That's going to be awesome. Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, Larry Ballard, just truthers all the way, and then John Wano Savin coming on. All here in the month of August. so don't miss this show, especially on Mondays and Thursdays when we bring on live guests. That's always fun to have the live guests come on. But hey, that's all we have for you tonight. And I wanted to say thank you for joining me. And we will be again on Wednesday after the show. We'll be doing a news tomorrow. But then after the show, remember we have a word and worship where I'll be teaching on this day 7 of the reliability of the Bible and how that is proved through prophecy, and specifically the messianic prophecies. And so we're going to be finishing up that series on Wednesday night. So remember, that's on a new channel. So you have to make sure anybody listening right now, make sure you go to on your Rumble, go to Word and Worship, Word with the N, Worship. And then also we'll be doing Praise and Prayer Thursday after that great interview that we have lined up with the 9/11 architect, Richard Gage. It's going to be great. Hey, with that, God bless you all, and stay frosty. We'll be seeing you soon.
Christian soldiers, we are
Elitist media deceives, but Faith and Freedom TV amplifies truth. Our world-leading platform delivers news, teachings, worship, movies, and music rooted in biblical values and constitutional patriotism, inspiring faith and liberty. We inspire, equip, and amplify Christian patriots to share powerful stories of faith, family, and freedom. With live events, thousands of on-demand videos, and access on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS, we're transforming culture globally for God and country. New content is coming to ignite faith. Join our mission to counter deception. Visit faithandfreedom.tv and download the Faith and Freedom TV app today.